minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent New York's 1st Congressional District, the eastern end of Long Island. Proudly, we're the home to about 27,000 veterans, a very high population for New York State. My stepfather was a Navy man. My brother served 20 years in the Marines, and the best job I ever had, including this one, was being a naval officer where I got to serve alongside some awesome, selfless, brave Americans. And I want to join my colleagues in thanking you all for your service. Proudly, 2 of the 4 of you were my former shipmates, so appreciate you guys leading the way. While he's not here with us in person today, I'd like to take a moment to highlight somebody from my district, a veteran, a small business owner, Stephen Haydock. He's a Vietnam veteran, a father, and a former Suffolk County Department of Public Works commissioner. For almost 40 years, Mr. Haydock has been at the helm of Haydock Engineering, a company renowned for delivering exceptional, affordable service to its clients, and has served countless entrepreneurs. But moving from Long Island back to this room, I want to again say thanks so much for being here. Your testimony, like has been said before, is helping us craft legislation and budgets and whatnot to be able to help our veterans community. Our intention is to understand your experiences, explore avenues to make your jobs easier, to assist you, to uplift you and the entire veteran community. So we appreciate you being here. I personally have heard stories from many veterans, small business owners, on difficulties they've encountered along the way, specifically with the SBA, onerous collateral requirements, Byzantine application processes, having to provide years of lengthy financial backgrounds. The SBA is supposed to be there to help, but sometimes they miss the mark, and this committee is supposed to fill in that gap when the SBA misses the mark, and your testimony helps us do that. Mr. Burke, sir, to you first. I appreciate your service in the nation's finest branch, the Navy, of course.
Yes, sir.
In your testimony, you talked about unique barriers to entrepreneurship for veterans. Can you share with the committee some of those roadblocks, and if you can, advise us on how we can help clear some of those roadblocks?
Yes, sir. And we've talked a little bit, or certainly members of this committee have talked a little bit about the length of small business connections in communities, and how I've talked about veterans coming back don't necessarily have that initial network. So that's first and foremost what that is. I'm proud of the United States Navy. I've heard in the past year or so, the United States Navy has added financial literacy to incoming sailors so that they know from day one, the money they have and the exotic dancer they meet is not a good future financial investment, but 2, the skills you're learning can be translated at the end of your service rather than wait till the last 90 or 180 days to practice that when you're panicked and not have no clue where you're going next. And so I think that's what the Navy is aware of, and I think it seems like a good idea that should yield fruits for future veterans to do that.
I may or may not have some leadership experience with the issue you just pointed out.
I'm sure you have with that pin.
Yeah. Nevertheless, Sergeant Casada, you in your testimony characterized the SBA as wholly ineffective, well-intentioned but wholly ineffective. Can you help us out, can you share with this committee what we can specifically do to help the SBA and its veterans initiatives?
Yeah, I'll just revisit where I think the breakdown in communication lies is that in the spirit of entrepreneurship, most individuals, if you're going to be in that type of role, pursuing business, you're very apt to take on risk, weigh the cost of risk and reward, move forward, adapt and overcome, and everything else that goes into business. However, I think on the other side of the aisle, when it comes to individuals that are working within the SBA in order to help support us and other small business owners within the United States, I think the breakdown comes where I would assume most of them have college educations and they move straight into a job in order to help support. And so that's where I was mentioning the lack of or breakdown of communication, because we're not speaking the same language, and most of us are very used to adapting, overcoming, and moving very fluidly, or hitting the walls and finding how to get around or over the barriers per se. And the person on the other side who might be trying to help, they don't understand kind of the pitfalls or what we're facing or the urgency per se. So I think that's kind of where that
mentioned the GI Bill. Did I hear you say that you would like to see that the GI Bill be expanded for different usage rather than the traditional usage?
Yes, I think if veterans had the ability to tap into their GI Bill, whatever that funding might be, let's say $200,000 or $400,000, if they are able to tap into that and apply that to a business venture as they leave the military, obviously there has to be certain parameters and guidelines, but I think that's a phenomenal way for them to set them up for success and a win. And then I would assume if that bill passes, there needs to be coaches involved or business individuals on that side that are going to walk kind of hand in hand, or at least, hey, you're checking every 3 months or quarter, whatever it might be, 6 months, and making sure that you're there to support as they continue to grow, and maybe the ability to release more funds as those times come available.
Awesome. Thanks for your testimony. Appreciate your feedback. Thanks for your service. I yield.